Alistair, just recently, the headline stated gold is the most in-demand safe haven asset among central banks. This came from the OMFIF, Official Monetary and Financial Institutions Forum. It went on to say that analysts have been extremely bullish on gold as the precious metal has re-established itself as an important monetary asset within the global economy. According to sentiment within the official sector, this trend, which began in mid-2022, is not expected to reverse anytime soon. According to survey results published by the Official Monetary and Financials Institute Forum, on Tuesday, 32% of central banks plan to increase their exposure to gold in the next 12 to 24 months, the most conviction seen in the last 5 years. Alistair, in your opinion, could the next 5 years be as good as the last 5 years, or maybe even better for gold?
The way I would rather put it is it's going to be very, very bad for fiat currencies. And I think that's key to understanding the outlook for gold. It's interesting that OMFIF, which is very much an establishment, if you like, pressure group, think tank, whatever, research center, has begun to look at gold. OMFIF deals with a lot of very, very large investment managers and sovereign wealth funds, central banks, obviously. I think if you look at their website, they claim to have in their membership managers of up to $42 trillion of assets. So this is, quite an interesting forum, as it were. And I've noted that they have become more interested in gold. And I think this is probably driven by what central banks are doing and the discussions that members of OMFIF have with the various central banks. And it's something which they've even got a Dutch firm called Gold Republic to do a number of interviews, if you like, moving away from the pure fiat currency, if you like, meme, if I can put it that way. They've actually interviewed me. They also interviewed Bill White, who was a former bigwig in the BIS and a very like-minded banker, as far as we're concerned. So I think OMFIF's move is interesting because behind it is this big shift in attitude, which central banks and government wealth funds and the really big investment managers and perhaps the really big institutions throughout Asia are beginning to reflect. On that basis, this, I think, should be taken very, very seriously, even though it's couched in very, very diplomatic terms. The idea that that 32% of central banks look to add to their gold and all the rest of it, I would be surprised if it was not closer to 100%, because that's the way the sentiment is going. The only central banks who officially don't see this, of course, are the ones which are part of the original dollar circus. I mean, you've got the Fed, you've got the Bank of England, you've got the Banque de France, you've got the Bundesbank, but we can see the pressures coming on the Bundesbank. You've got the Banca d'Italia. These are the central banks, the ECB obviously as well. These are the central banks who don't want to rock the boat. But from my knowledge of central bankers, behind this, there are growing numbers of central bankers who can see exactly what we're discussing. They can see that the move is going away from the dollar. They can see that this is something which is actually quite a big change. Now, they don't necessarily come out and publicly say so. But for example, I think it was a week or two ago that the ECB came out and actually said the unthinkable, that gold is replacing the dollar as the main reserve asset. Mm. And, they tried to sort of say, well, this means that if the dollar is declining, then there's an enhanced role for the euro. they were trying to put some sort of spin on it. But you can see how gradually the establishment is beginning to understand that the place to be is actually gold, not in fiat currencies. I mean, really what we're seeing, any person who actually thinks about it, is we're seeing the end of the fiat currency era.
Yeah.
And so statements from OMFIF, I think, are, they won't admit it, but they're beginning to, if you like, reflect this, to my mind, complete fact.
Yeah, well, Matthew Piepenburg was very similar in his approach to, what you just said then, end of an era. And it takes a very long time, but eventually, the world just comes to recognize that in this case, the dollar is depreciating at a record rate, and one needs to do better than that. So, Matthew, of course, made the reference to the fact that there are people out there that would say, is this the end of a bull run? He said, well, you would have to be kidding. It's pretty much just the start of the bull run, because at the end of the day, and you've said this before, Alistair, yourself many times, it's all about debt at the end of the day. And the debt continues to increase. And so the price of gold will appear to go up, but as you're saying, it's the devaluation of the currency. And you just need more of those dollars to buy the same amount of gold. So, yeah,
absolutely
interesting.